morning and welcome to Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. So Mickey, back up the woods. Yeah! So what I'm covering today, I'm going to cover budgets. Okay, so improvising, making do, tips and ideas, what you can do on a budget. So a budget tarp in comparison to the MOD tarp. And then we will look at an improvised cook system or two. Then we'll look at some methods you can use to improve on those, make them better. And I'm also making a little bit of char cloth, so I might chuck that in, or I might do that as a separate video. Don't know yet. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's helpful for somebody, because again, every penny you can save on one piece of kit, bear in mind that it's got to be able to do the job, it's not just cheap rubbish, but every penny you can save on a piece of kit is a penny towards another piece of kit, okay, or a penny towards something you need to do. Now, the way I look at it is I would rather have a cheaper tarp than no tarp, okay. So my very good friend Benny Bushcraft, he gave me a tip and idea, put a video up himself the other day. And this isn't a copycat video. What it is, this is a video where I looked at what he had and went, wow, is it that good? So I've got one myself. I'm going to put it up, have a look at it, give you my honest thoughts, compare it to the MOD top, see where we go from there. Then we'll have a look at some improvised cookers. And we'll also have a look at using, there's a little bit of confusion over Dragon Gel, the best way of using Dragon Gel as opposed to hexamine, because hexamine is now illegal. So I will show you how I use that, and how I've found a better method, or the best method for me to use it. Other than that, guys, let's crack on with the video. So let's have a look at this tarp. So it comes in a reasonable bag. It's no problems with the bag, it's fairly sturdy, it's got a drawstring on it, it's got some of that sort of faux paracord type twine on it. We all know how this stuff goes, if it starts fraying it's a nightmare, so as soon as you get it, put an extra knot in the end and maybe singe them off. A plane, always a plane. Noisy pillock. Not allowed to have a loud exhaust on my motorcycle yet, a plane. Does anybody that knows out there tell me, is there a restriction on a noise from planes? Is he supposed to have a muffler? Is that an aftermarket exhaust? So, he's pretty much gone. Right, so the tarp. So this tarp cost me £19 from Amazon, okay? I couldn't find one under the name Unigear, which is, I believe, what Benny went with, but I had a look at similar tarps. This is £19 worth of tarp. So in the bag, you get some cordage, which unfortunately isn't singed. It's just a single hank of cordage, as far as I can see. Oh no, there's various ends there. So there's some some pieces of cordage hanked up there. It is again, it's a paracord style cordage. You get a little bag of pegs, which get 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 pegs. Feels light enough to be aluminium, but it also feels quite sturdy. So I would say it's not aluminium, but it is some sort of alloy, lightweight alloy. They're not badly made. They've got a point already on them, a bit of an angle at the top there, so when you drive it in, it will, yeah, they're for the money. I've spent in excess of £20 on just pegs alone in the past. And lastly, the top. So the bag is made from the same material. So this is, I would say, probably 100% nylon. Okay, it's a fairly dense weave. and it's got a reflective backing on it, and that's what caught my eye, this reflective backing. Is this reflective backing going to be any good? You know, it's one of the things that we face when we're out in the woods is the cold, so, and sometimes the heat. So if you have a reflective backing, it can help. It's not the answer to everything. Right, let's have a look at these. So the corners, the first thing I always check, and the seams. So it's not a bad seam, it's just folded over and stitched. Okay, the corners are a little bit tight, but you could get cordage in there and improve on that. It's stitched in, it seems to be well stitched in, there's no fraying and hanging, and the corners are reinforced. Okay, they could have done with another stitch across the back there. In fact, I might even sit down with the sewing machine and just put 2 or 3 stitches or lines of stitching across there just to help reinforce that corner. Because again, all they've done is put a patch of material in there and stitched it, but I can't pull it out, it's not coming away. And again, we come back to this reflective liner on the inside, or it's reflective coating, which when I wrap it around my hand, I can feel the heat building. That's not bad at all. So if we compare that to the standard modern issue British military tarp, okie doke, which is going to cost you a lot more. Right, and look at the corners on that. So the corner's not reinforced in the same way, however the way it's stitched and the way it's grommeted into the webbing is what gives it its strength. Material thicknesses, this is slightly thicker. Okay, the types of material very similar, but I would say that's a denser weave and it's got a coating on one side. This, I can't tell if it's got a coating on it at all. However, you could probably coat it, you could probably proof it with a waterproofing if you wish to. So what we'll do, we'll get this up and we'll have a look at it, see what we think. So, I've rigged this in a basic lean-to shelter. Right, as you can see, by halving it, so it's 3 by 3, so that's 1.5 meters that way, 1.5 meters on the deck. Gives me a ground sheet, but it also gives me a reflective ground sheet, and again I can feel the heat difference. So yes, it does help reflecting heat. If you touch it, the cold air will obviously chill the material, but it does reflect that bit of heat back. So as a shelter, it's very, very good. In actual fact, I'm probably going to keep this not just as a shelter, but this will probably replace my emergency blanket as well, because I can feel the heat bouncing back off it quite nicely, and I like that. So that works for me. And obviously what you would do in a survival situation, you would either build your shelter differently. This is just open fronted so you could see the size of it, but you could fold half of this back underneath you, have a double layer. You could build that up with leaves, mosses, grass, ferns, bracken, anything that you wanted to pad it out with to give yourself a comfortable night's sleep. And there is still plenty there. You could extend that further, pull this back. However, it only has one central guy point in each strip. Okay, what would be nice is if there was a tie-off point here or a tie-off point halfway down there, but you could use tarp clips for that. And in the next video I will be showing you tarp clips and how to use them on something like this to improve your system. So do I think it's a good tarp? Actually yes, I think it is a very good tarp. Okay, I've not had it out in a massive amount of wind or anything or rain yet, but I am confident that for the money you are not going to do much better. And with this reflective coating, it really cuts down on the light coming in. So there's another bonus. If you're somebody who's a dark sleeper who does not want the light showing on them, okay, brilliant. And if you had this in front of a fire or something like that, it would reflect the heat back onto you. Yeah, I like it. Benny, thank you so very, very much for demonstrating it and showing it on yours. I'm not trying to steal your thunder, bud, but hey, we need to shout about these because some people are paying a lot of money for big brand tarps when they don't need to. This would do for what you need. And as you can see, a 3x3, that is more than adequate space. Okay, more than adequate. The other bonuses at £19, at 19 quid, really, the money you will save. Yeah, it's a great bit of gear. So, although I do love the British military tarp, and I will say companies like Snugpack, DD and all the rest of them do make a better quality one for the money. That's absolutely fantastic. And some of you other guys, DD, Snugpack, guys like that, this reflective coating, right? Maybe it's time, instead of going lightweight, why don't you build us a good, sturdy, reflective winter tarp? Because that's awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
Nicky back again. So let's get a brew on. So where we're going to go with brews? Well, let's start with the most basic and the most simple, right? So my most basic and simple brew kit that you can have is probably going to have been a hexamine stove. So hexi stoves are no longer, well, hexi stoves are allowed. Hexamine, the chemical that you use, is banned. Okay, it's illegal. Cannot have it in the UK. It is classed as an explosive chemical, and therefore we're not allowed to have it. Rest of you elsewhere in the world, yeah, I don't know what your laws and rules and regs are. So we'll open out my brew kit, and my brew kit has been modified slightly to take this into account. So what I now have in my brew kit is a small tin, okay, small tin with a lid. And the reason I have the small tin with a lid in there is so that when I make my brew, it doesn't spill the gel everywhere. Let's move that out of the way. I have also taken to carrying with me a small piece of black carbon felt. This carbon felt is used by welders, solderers, people like that to protect materials they don't want to burn. So it's extremely heat proof, and it has another use alongside the tin, which we will cover in a moment. Okay, so the easiest way of doing this, we already know the little hexi stove fits over it okay. Okay, so what we'll do, just take your little hexi stove, drop your gel into your little tray, ignite your gel. Little tray stops it from spreading, keeps it where you want it to be, doesn't make a mess, and does mean that you can place your cup quite way around, as somebody pointed out to me, on your cooker. Okay, so that sits on there absolutely fine, does the job, stops the mess. So yes, the hexamine may be dead and gone, but just a small tin, make sure it fits inside your stove. And a couple of friends of mine have actually said that in actual fact, if you could get one a little bit taller than the one I've got there, which is about 8 to 10 millimeters tall, if you could get something a bit taller but a bit shorter so that the block just fits in it, what that does, it creates a slower burn for the fuel. You get the flame on it, but it doesn't spread out over such a big area, so therefore the fuel lasts that little bit longer. So that's where we've gone with that. Now that is one method, okay? Now the bonus with having the lid, and the reason we like the lid, is that something happens, you've got to change your plan, you've got to alter what you're doing, so you can take your mug off of the stove, okay? You can take your stove off, put it to one side to cool, okay? And then using the lid from your tin, you can snuff out the fire gel. Alright, now one of the things I'm going to do today is an experiment. I'm going to move that to one side and let it cool. I want to see if that can be reignited, or do I have to put a fresh one on there? Because if it will reignite, that's a real bonus to me. That is, I can have a very, very quick brew. I haven't got to worry about emptying that out every time or going to a fresh one. I can shut that up, seal it and put it to one side. So we'll carefully move that to one side, because obviously it's going to be hot, and we'll have a look at one of the other methods you could go to. So again, using the same size tin, I've taken some of this carbon felt and I've lined the tin with the felt, and there's about 5 layers of felt in there, okay? So I can line that with the felt. I'll then take methylated spirits, or this is denatured alcohol. I can carefully, and I say carefully, load this up. You don't want to overfill it or spill it. I think that's going to do it. I can light that, put my stove on it, and make my brew. So that has made me a very small spirit stove, literally using one of these small small metal tins. Okay. Now today I'm using coffee bags from the supermarket, not my normal brand. Been giving these a try, purely and simply because I've got to take some of mine with me to the Isle of Wight. So these are not paid for or anything like that. I bought these myself, but they are very, very good. Do like them. Taylors of Harrogate Flying Start coffee bags, roast number 5. And again, just a little bag of filter coffee or ground coffee. I would say to people, boil your water, then add your bag, let it steep. I've seen a couple of people putting the bags in, boiling it, it's come to a rolling boil, they're giving it a stir, the bag breaks, coffee grinds in your coffee. Not what you want. There we go, water's at a boil. Slap that off of there. Take my spoon out. Coffee bag goes in. Lovely. Give that a little stir. Carefully lift my stove off, and there we have it. Now, if I was going to be carrying this system and using this system on a regular basis, one of the things I would do is I would allow the spirit, the meths that you've put in there, to burn out. Okay, don't put the lid on, snuff it, because unlike the gel, it's not going to solidify. Okay, it's going to remain a liquid. So you put that lid on, and if that lid doesn't seal well, you then put that back in your bag, and you're releasing spirit into your bag, your kit, and so on. Now, you want to build one of these for yourself. The tins, any type of tin, any metal tin, okay, and these carbon sheets. Okay, this sheet was originally twice this size, square, and I bought this on Amazon for 10 quid for 2 sheets. I could have bought 1 sheet for £5, in actual fact 1 sheet would have been enough, but I've got some other projects and ideas. So you can get a sheet of this for £5. Cut it to fit your tin nice and snug. You want no gaps, okay? You want the material to fill the tin so that when you put the spirit in, it's got to vaporise through the material, okay? Yeah, that's a nice little cooker. That's a nice little pocket burner, nice little pocket cooker. Fits inside my cup. I'm using denatured alcohol, so as you can see, being denatured alcohol, it has blackened the cup, okay? If I'd used meths, it would have been a bit cleaner. But that's right, let's come back to the gel stove. So there's the gel fuel as re-solidified in the tin, and the question we had was, would that reignite? Oh yeah, that will reignite. So that works. That's going to be my little gel stove system. It's literally like a small cheap tin, about the size of a Swan Vesta box. Fits one of those in nicely, okay, and does the job. That's and if you've got the old military style BCB cooker, again, pop one of those in it, it's going to do the same job for you, okay. Not going to get into the whole which is better, fire gel, dragon gel or hexamine, because that's a bit of a moot point in the UK, because we're not allowed hexamine. It's banned, it is illegal. So if you're going to use a military fuel system, that's what you've got legally. So my next thing is setting up the large stove and seeing how that'll work. Now, the initial thought was to be able to place that on there like that, okay, but that is going to sit too close to the flame, okay. So I can use it with the lid on, I can use it with the lid off. The lid off, I'm going to be exactly the same method as I would have done there. With the lid on, does it make a difference? I don't know. Let's have a look. So let's try the initial idea of having the lid on it. I'm not going to put so much spirit in this time because I don't want this to burn forever. Go. Thought it would, snuffed it. What I've done, I've got my pot down here, I've pushed 4 tent pegs in, and I've got a layer of carbon felt beneath it just in case. I'm going to whap some spirit into that. Like that. 700 mils of water in there. And I want a windbreak. Use that as a windbreak. And can I boil 700 mils of water? So, did it work? Well, yes, it did work. Unfortunately, I've been doing videos on other things, so as you can see, that's almost burnt out and I'd lost track of it, but it is boiling. It has boiled. Now, it's actually worked out for me that a stove of that size is just going to use too much fuel to make sense, unless I'm using this pot. It means carrying more fuel with me. Good backup, good resource for home, good method, but again, easy to make. A small tin, carbon felt, yeah, whichever spirit you use of choice. Okay, makes great little stove, something you can improvise, take out in the woods with you, or take camping with you, or keep in the car for an emergency. Okay, so there we go. Did it work? Yes, it did. Would I use this one again? Probably not. It's just a bit too big. There we go. That's something then. So guys, that was Mickey up in the woods today. I did a little bit on stoves, just some thoughts and some ideas. Did a little bit on this cheap tarp, and like I said, this tarp for under £20 from Amazon is a great deal. It's going to replace my survival blanket, I think. I've tried the reflective coating. I actually wrapped it around myself and I can feel it trapping the heat, reflecting the heat back on me. It's not as good as a Mylar blanket, however it's a lot more sturdy. It's a 3x3, so as a survival shelter come tarp, brilliant. I think it's going to come into its own in the winter as a to reflect heat. I also think in the summer, if it was really hot, if you turned it so the reflective side was out in an emergency, it would help to keep you a little bit cooler and help to keep you safe. So there we go. Do I think cheap tarps have their place? Yes, I do. I still like my DD. I still like my Snug Pack. I think they're brilliant tarps. I absolutely do. My MOD tarp, oh yeah, that's a Rolls Royce. I love that. That is so sturdy. It's got so many uses. Fantastic bit of kit. But if you're just starting out and you don't know whether you're going to go on with this, or if you're just on a tight budget and you're looking for a cheap and efficient tarp, yeah, get yourself over to Amazon, have a look, because it is a wonderful bit of kit. It's not got the greatest anchor points. Yeah, it hasn't got any grommets, but for the money, for what it is, yeah, I can't fault it. So anyhow, this has been Mickey up the woods, having a look at the cheap tarp. I've made 2 brews on 2 different stove systems. Okay, I've had a play with some carbon felt, absolutely superb. Hopefully you all like this. Hopefully it's all worked out for you. Hopefully it's going to come out as a good video. Guys, love those you do, forgive those you don't, and as always, what more can I say? Peace and light be upon you all. Have an awesome day wherever you are. Stay safe, get outside, have your adventures, have your fun, and maybe I'll see you Sunday on the Sunday Social live stream. Guys, from Mickey, take it easy. Till next time, Mickey out.